love has got you feeling too much. It's feeling too much for you. Then all my love is gonna dance with someone that shows love, not you. Just dance. If all my love has got you feeling too much, it's feeling too much for you. Then all my love is gonna dance with someone that shows love, not you. Just dance. Has got you feeling too much. It's feeling too much for you. Then all my love is gonna dance with someone that shows love, not you. Promise me you'll get me through. Just tell me I can do this too.
Good evening everyone and welcome to edition number 4 of Mini RPG of the Week. My name is NuaLaoch and I'm joined for the first time ever for a guest for one of these streams. MachtFISCH, it is great to have you here.
I'm the first. I'm number 1. Yes.
It's a pretty big honor, you know. We had to wait for the right guest, and I guess we managed to find you eventually.
You found. Let's just call it. You found a guest. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm the right one, but you know.
That's worrying to hear right after we started the stream. I got to tell you.
What do you mean? We've been chilling in the green room for about half an hour now.
Sure.
You knew what
we could have been playing Trackmania in that time. We probably should have been, you know.
We should have been, you know.
But I tell you got to be excited for tonight, edition number 4, and of course this edition does see the first appearance of, you know, one of our 2 resident mappers for the competition. Ars Velu will be showing his first map off for this one, and MachtFISCH, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, you have the competition now for a month. This is edition number 4. You had the test run, then 1, 2, and 3, and we've yet to see a map by our resident mappers. So it's going to be interesting to see what they bring to the table compared to especially last week, which was a bit more tech focused. I'm very interested to see how he says that map will, you know, be from his notes. maybe a bit transitional. Maybe about,
Yeah.
you know, reducing that airtime and trying to get clean transitions.
Yeah, definitely something I think to look forward to. It has been kind of the story with some of these RPG maps in general for the competition, which is not necessarily the hardest to finish, but that leaves a lot of room for the best players to show exactly what they can do. And it sounds like that was the goal for Arzvelu when he set out to make this map. As a reminder, before we get into this as well, the format for today will be a 15-minute discovery. We're talking a little bit about the map. We have a couple of notes from the mapper, but we have never seen the map before. None of the players have ever seen the map before. As of right now, the only people who have seen this map are the mapper and the admin for the competition. So we will be discovering it alongside you, alongside the players in that first 15 minutes warm-up. And after that, we head into a cup of the day style knockout where the bottom players in each round will be eliminated until we get to a top 2, and then we get a final showdown. We've had a couple of good ones as well, Mach. I mean, there's been some that come right down to the wire in that last 2. There was one last week, you know, occasionally they get decided by mistakes as well. Even at the top level, these players are not immune to crashing out.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that every level, like even if you go to TMGL, like in those latter stages, there's always going to be crashes because you're right on the edge. And you need to be right on the edge if you want to be the fastest, because the field is so incredibly tight. If you go to that top 5 to top 10 spots, you can't allow a mistake. But at the same time, the tracks are narrow, the tracks are quite difficult. You said they're not that hard to finish, but we're still talking about mini RPG tracks, so they're never going to be like easy by any means. I'm really excited to see what Arzvelu has brought. No, I was tempted to play the map. I think you may have been as well, but I could restrain myself.
It's true. We get to see what the name of the map is in advance, and so we have to avoid the temptation to go and see if it's already been uploaded to Exchange beforehand as well, to make sure that it's not floating around out there. Because, yeah, like you say, the temptation is definitely there to try and figure out how it is. Try and play it yourself. See exactly how good these players are, because one of the other things we do get is, you know, predicted time from the author of the map. Exactly how they think people are going to be going during rounds. I have to say, in previous weeks, one of my favorite things to do has been looking at those predicted times and then seeing it get shattered by the top 5 players in just the 15-minute warm-up. They're like, yeah, they just breeze past it most of the time, and it's genuinely just a testament to how good some of the players in this competition are.
I mean, either the players are good or the mappers maybe not so much. That's why they're mappers, right? That's why we are casters.
No shame here, man, alright?
we are horrible at the game ourselves, but, you know, we can talk.
Yeah, those who can't drive, map. Those who can't map, cast. Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, basically. Can you map? I can't.
No, not at all.
See? Story checks out. That's all we need.
It tracks. It makes a lot of sense. It is. We definitely had last week's mapper was Mr. Bigloos, and he said, you know, he definitely was someone. He said he had like 300 hours in the mapping tool and about 30 hours driving. Definitely can be the case for some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a mapper, you have to set in time, and mapping is such an incredibly like time-consuming thing. You could see it every time, like when some of these big maps get announced. The mapping process itself, not so much, but doing all the scenery, and that's just Sisyphusian work. That just takes hours upon hours upon hours.
Yeah, it definitely does. But here we are. We're onto the map. We're getting a look at it here already now. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some interesting turnarounds. A little bit of plastic. Never hurt anyone.
Oh, plastic is such a punishing surface. It's ridiculous. If you don't hold your slide correctly on plastic, you are just gone. Like, you lose all the speed you have. And we can see with Darrigan here a lot of speed checks on this map, especially with the little bumps there. So, this is going to be punishing.
Yeah, and I think you can already see something you alluded to in the kind of pre-show there, Mach, is that even when it's not a speed check, a lot of these jumps are going to test our players' ability to minimize their airtime, to make the transition cleanly, and to keep their speed up. That's going to be key to setting good times on this map. For reference, the time that the author does think we're going to be looking at is 58 at least in rounds, but maybe a 55 is a good time to set during rounds.
Yeah, I mean, 55 seconds is not necessarily a short map by any stretch of the imagination, especially for a Cup of the Day format, quite a long map. But we already see some very familiar name. I'm seeing Hazardou there at the very bottom, who's already completed a run. So some familiar faces here of players we know are high quality, and every surface used. I think apart from ice, I've seen every surface on this map thus far.
Yeah, definitely one thing that our mini RPG mappers love to do, use every surface possible. I mean, there's snow there. Can we count that? I think, well, I'm going to count it.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just count it.
Every surface used, including ice, if you count the snow at the end of the track right beside the finish that nobody should be touching anyway. I mean, hey, it's not bad. And I mean, we'll follow a clean run through here with someone sooner rather than later, get a good idea of exactly what this map looks like. But here on the map, here on Spring Area, it is definitely going to be transitional.
Oh yeah, I mean you can already tell, and if you like Zemus does just done take one wide line, you're completely in the mud. Like this map, it seems to be A, transitional, B, super punishing. Especially if we compare it to last week's map, if we compare it to Oreo, just so much harder. It looks very, very brutal. Like I think knockout rounds especially gonna be like, okay, just don't make a mistake. Just that's priority number one is not be fast, but make less mistakes than anyone else.
Yeah, I gotta say, I am fascinated by that kind of plastic landing on the wall into the turnaround. It feels dangerously close to being a bug slide, almost. I think just looking at it, you know, I mean, it feels like there's going to be something weird, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that turnaround ends up happening as we head towards the back half of the map. You can see Zemus in about the 30 seconds deep in the run. This is one of those quarter pipes where, again, the temptation is always going to be try and risk it a little bit, Mach. Try and get as low as possible, and then it's a quarter pipe jump again here. This was something we saw in Oreo last week. You kind of mentioned that map already. This kind of turnaround in a half pipe, quarter pipe, where you just have to get the car as low as possible, and players definitely on that one went too low sometimes. You end up having to reset back to the previous checkpoint. Yeah,
and we just see what happens when you reset to that previous checkpoint. It's not safe. You still have to go a little bit up and take the 180. Like that's not a safe checkpoint that's being set there. A bit naughty, that, not gonna lie.
A little bit rude of the mapper indeed, as he does reckon it's going to be that gap between checkpoint 3 and checkpoint 4 that punishes a lot of players the most. As it is, I believe, this coming up to checkpoint 3 now, so it would include this half pipe jump. So it's this one here. Or the next one is this is checkpoint CP3, 3, correct?
I think this
and then this one, exactly. And you can see what he means, right? Like, this makes a lot of sense now that I'm looking at it. This is a long stretch all the way down to checkpoint 4 with this big half-pipe jump at the end as well. That's very tough to potentially try and make. And if you get that wrong, it's a long way back to the previous checkpoint.
Yeah, you can see CP3 is really, really long. Like, it's gonna cost you a lot of time. If you fail, you definitely do not want to fail at that point. Ta-da, right now, just doing a pretty solid job with it, just getting on with it, being currently first in the splits, now moving down to second, but you know, at the end there, everything seems to be alright, and then a little bit of a risky finish with, I think, if you get not necessarily, if you get shafted by the plastic there, that risky finish could prove to be very risky indeed.
It definitely could. It's not looking like the riskiest finish we've seen. We can see Corzo almost sliding out on that plastic turn near the start. We've definitely seen risky finishes, but that just makes it all the more exciting, I think, when a player fails one as well.
Yeah, that's going to be like, oh, he's got the opportunity to go for the risky finish. He's got more speed, but nope, he just missed. I think risky finishes, not every map needs a risky finish per se, but I think they're adding a lot of volatility to records, especially when you're the one chasing and trying to come back from behind.
It's definitely punishing. I remember back in the Irish Open Cup, another event that I was casting, there was a very risky finish on that one, and the entire tournament was decided after a week of time attack, after 25 rounds of then just cup mode as well across 5 different tracks. The entire competition came down to 2 guys tied, the last 2 players left in cup mode on the final track, and one of them went for the risky finish and the other one didn't, and that won the competition for the guy who nailed the risky finish. It's like, they provide excitement.
Yeah, it's just very much a risk reward system, right? Yeah, I mean you can take a finish that's 2 seconds slower, or you can take a risky approach to the risky finish. Like it's a great mechanic and it's a great balancing act. I feel like. But as we look more on the map, I'd say we've heard from the mapper that he set the area between CP3 and CP4 that was going to be catching people out, and that was definitely the most costliest respawn. But he said the start could be very tricky as well, and we can see that with that plastic half pipe. You know, with this little speed check here on the grass, which Extreme Jinx just absolutely nailed flawlessly, as did he did this one, just the angle on the last one. So before, I'd say before CP2, that's also, like between CP1 and CP2, that's also quite a dangerous checkpoint.
Oh, absolutely. It's looking a little bit tough, and we've seen players already kind of slide out. You can see Beta Toast proving my point exactly there. If you kind of get the wrong line coming off that plastic, your wheels are just not going to find grip back onto the tarmac, and you're going to end up sliding out into a sign at the side of the road. It's going to cost you an awful lot of time. I think what's really nice about this map so far as well, and what's nice about a lot of mini RPGs in general, is the flow of it, right? Like, and it's the flow that kind of compounds. If you're getting things right, Beta Toast, again, proving my point exactly. Things just start working, they start clicking, you start landing all of your jumps perfectly, and it just feels so nice to drive.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you have the correct line, yes, it's brilliant. But if you're one step out, it's completely horrible. Like, we can see here,
anybody's gonna land short.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anybody, you can see he's a little bit too far sideways. He does get the grip, but he's just lost too much speed. He was on like 90 or 100 kph on the exit there, and that was just not enough to make a clean jump. You need to not do that, and you need to have like at least like 120 speed on the exit from the plastic to make a clean transition for that next jump. So it all compounds.
Yeah, note to self, do not do barrel rolls on this map. I think we can look out for that one. This time manages to keep a little bit more speed, and then, yeah, you can see it works, but the temptation to risk it, it works out this time around. 7/10 down, anybody. I think you're going to lose some of that, though, here as we head towards the second checkpoint. Has lost, in fact, all of those 7/10, and that's exactly it. You can see it was one mistake kind of on the landing, the drift not working properly into that turn, and he immediately wiped out 8/10 of progress from just the first checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, he credit to him, he got a clean first start, and they can see how much time we actually still have to gain on this map if people start getting clean. Oh, so close, so close. I mean, you've said it earlier in your like where the mapper said, so Osvaldo said, 58 seconds. That's gonna be at least the time needed. We have only one person that has beaten the minute barrier.
Yeah, it turns out Osvaldo has spent a lot of time testing this map, maybe, and maybe has over-tested it to the point where he thinks, you know, a classic game design problem, right? Where you think something is easy because you've spent so long doing it, and then other players come in and they're like, wow, this is hard, and you're like, is it?
Wait, this is hard? No, this is easy. Well, you've also spent about 50 hours on the map, so that could be where the discrepancy comes from. But here's something from Tada right here, the respawn. I like that because it is working on save strats. He's working on, okay, if I have a mistake, what can I do with the respawn that I don't panic, or that I don't, you know, let things get to me just as much. He's trying to just find the save lines, find the risky lines, find the save lines. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, that is a big improvement by Hazardu as well just there. He has gone from the closest time being 59.8 all the way down to a 58.6, nearly a second and a half ahead of the competition. Incredibly quick run there by Hazardu. Nice to see that one, and I agree with you as well. This is the point of the competition where we do tend to see players start to look for those safer lines, start to figure out exactly how much they can push, what is the correct line to save it if they do start to go a little bit awry. And the players who scope that out, who figure that out during this 15-minute warm-up, they can have a big edge in the middle, especially the middle rounds, where one mistake you still can regain, because by the very late rounds, Macht, it doesn't matter. One mistake, it doesn't matter if you have the safe line, someone's going to be flying off into the distance, you're not going to catch them. But in the middle rounds, kind of 20 players left or so, it makes a big difference if you can kind of, you know, catch up to some of the middle players left in the competition and overtake them with them making a couple of risks. You need to know where to go.
Yeah, and from, you know, not necessarily, but everyone has compete and I think has tried to compete in at least a couple of days or something. You can never take your eyes off that, you know, off the leaderboard. Be like, oh, I'm safe, I don't need to risk it, and then someone from behind being like, nope, just full sending it all the way, and because you save, you are now out. Like that's also one thing. It plays tricks on your mind pretty much.
Yeah, it's what I love, and I think it's the other reason I've been loving casting these mini RPGs so much as well. It's something I ended up talking a lot about last week, is that it provides so many decision points for the players, right? When you are ahead, you have to decide, am I still risking it, or do I play it safe, and am I risking them at that point, them catching up? Do I try and take a risky line? Do I try and take a safe line through the next turn? Mini RPG is a better style than almost any other at providing the most decision points for players in a rounds format.
I'd say the only style that could possibly get close to that decision making is just tech. where you have to think about, okay, do I sacrifice the first Apex to get a cleaner second one, or you know, those kind of decisions. I think Tech is also full of those. But yeah, mini RPG definitely from like the quantity of those like hard cut decisions, definitely the most enjoyable to watch. And I know we're nearly done with the 15-minute warm up, and I'm loving the track so far. Really, I think it's really creative, really flowing. It's just a great track.
It's really been enjoyable. Arsvelu said that he hoped that people would enjoy it, that he does have a kind of particular style that he tends to map, and I'm seeing some hints of that style, nice flow to the map, lots of minimizing airtime and things. I think hopefully that's what he's talking about, and I'm not just making a fool out of myself assuming that's what he meant, but generally speaking, it is definitely turning out nice, and I think it is going to provide a lot of entertainment when we get into our rounds here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he said this could, from this flow here, this could be an official Nadeo campaign map, and I see it. Honestly, I kind of see it where Nadeo, especially with the most recent spring campaign, have been putting a lot of value and a lot of effort into like transitional maps. So I think from that perspective, it could definitely be a map style that we could see on an official Nadeo release, maybe in the next campaign.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. This does feel very much to me like one of those kind of like late style, maybe, late teen, early 20s kind of Nadeo maps where they're kind of tough to master, but once you start to get the lines down, you start to realize the flow a little bit more. They do start to transition really, really nicely. They're maybe a little bit tough for newer players, but for someone who's been playing for a little while, they can feel a lot of fun to play, and they mix things up a little bit. You start learning new lines, forcing you to play in a slightly different way, and that's a lot of fun. Hazard is back on a banger of a run right here. The player who currently tops the leaderboard might go for a low 58 here just before the warm-up ends.
He's got that last looping to nail though. Got the booster. He's got the line, and he gets actually really brilliantly through it. Now, risky finish, of course, going to be what? It's going to be 58.6. Oh, barely missing out on a new PB.
That was so very close. That roof hit at the end, I've been keeping an eye on chat. The long-time viewers may remember that a pseudo-random, or at least a roof hit that players are complaining is random, has started to become a little bit of a mini RPG of the week classic feature that pops up now and then. And that last roof hit, I could see it causing a little bit of interactions, as someone has pointed out that the R in RPG definitely, it stands for roof hit, Macht.
I fully agree. There can't be an RPG track, be it mini or regular RPG, without at least one roof hit. Otherwise, what are you doing if you're the mapper? I mean,
it's true.
You can't be doing that, surely.
No.
All right, now
we head here into the very end of our warm-up phase as well. 15 minutes, it has flown by with you here on the desk, Macht.
Oh, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure with this warm-up. Now we go into rounds. Now, of course, the question now is how many participants do we actually have? I hope Deployer can scroll down. 45 is he's 45th, so 44 participants in this mini RPG of the week on Spring Area, and only one person going to the 58 that was mentioned by Osvola as 58 at least.
Yeah, it's going to be, he said, potentially as low as 55. We are a long way off that 55 number still. 58, though, the time to strive for. Hazard, the only one even to break out of the 59s. This first round, of course, we will not see any eliminations. One warm-up round in the Cup of the Day style, and from there we head straight into our eliminations. 4 at a time, we're going to start cutting players then.
Yeah, 4 at a time until the top 16, and I believe then it is 2 until top 8, where it is only the last one to get eliminated. And for these early rounds, I'm looking at times of like 1 minute 1 second, 1 minute 2 seconds maybe. That's going to be our cutoff if no mistakes happen, but that is a major if. We've already seen one.
It'd be a miracle. I've seen one already. I'm going to see a couple more as we head towards the plastic. It's going to be early rounds. I'll say it. We've seen bloodbaths in these early rounds before. Up to 7, 8, 9, 10 players getting cut in the first round as the mistakes come thick and fast.
It's going to be a 30-second finishing time, all right? And 30 seconds on this map, it's not that much. If you consider the entire map length, 30 seconds to finish it could put you under quite a lot of pressure, as we see Hazardu right now leading the charge as always. I think if he gets clean runs, the back half of the grid is really going to struggle We see a lot of DNFs and Hazardou going for it, absolutely sending it now down the pipe into the water. I think he got a decent water exit there, not a lot of slowdown into the plastic. Good transition now, and now the finishing jump, 58 seconds yet again. 58 seconds, 0.2.
I'll tell you though, there were a few improvements there on that round as people pushed it. Hazard gets it all the way down to a 58.2, but Beta Toast gets into the 58s as well with a 58.5. I mean, just edging inside the 58.6, and behind them as well, Exotic, Suso, Tada, they are all well into the 59s as well. So these rounds are going to get exciting, and if previous weeks are anything to go by as well, you cannot rely on these players being all that consistent. Bless them, they tried. Some of them are very close to consistency, but we have seen surprise exits from the competition before.
Exactly. It's almost like every time you have a PB, you're at your most vulnerable because you're still feeding off your adrenaline.
Riding that high.
You're riding that high, and then you're going to make a stupid mistake, and then you're just going to tilt and lose it. So let's see if Hazardou makes a stupid mistake. He won't, but I've already seen 3 or 4 cars flying off to the side. Again, that first start, Osvaldo said it, it's a tricky start, and the players are definitely falling victim to it.
Yeah, as we'll follow on board with Efry here, who is the player in the hot seat, but we'll be right back out of the hot seat and into the elimination zone as he now is battling with some cars here at the back. We'll see when he manages to make it through this next checkpoint exactly what the work needs to be to make up ground. It's slow, and there it is, exactly what we were talking about. The transitions just don't work when you are behind. With all that said, Macht, he's still in 40th place.
It's not about being the fastest, it's about not being in that bottom 4. Like, that is all that you need in the Cup of the Day style game mode. So we have Stracer here following along with him. He's got a very low speed. Can you get the jump? Oh! Ooh, just barely, but
there's
will
no
he
way
have
he has
enough?
enough speed for the quarter pipe, right?
No way. Like,
No.
I think he should have respawned probably earlier. And we can see the DQ timer coming in. 30
Yeah.
seconds. Novu has actually finished first at 59.6. Solid time. And now the DQ timer. I don't think Stracer or anyone that's still cutting back, Volgaro or Aziris, neither are going to make it.
I think they aren't. Unfortunately, this is what tends to happen in the first round. We tend to say goodbye to some players who are just struggling a little bit with the map, but it's lovely to see them here nonetheless. We'll see exactly how many we do say goodbye to. At the moment, looking like about 6 players or so. We'll jump on board potentially. Let's see slides into the finish as well. 11 players eliminated. It's a couple more than I was ready for.
I mean, it's about 200% more, but, 11 players out in the first round, and that's the potential that if a player like Hazardou or Novu, if they can get those sub-minute times, like a lot of people are going to be under the pressure.
No! Tenchi
Such
no! Oh, he was our hero last week. He stayed in. He scraped into every single round. He was on the edge of elimination, and he made it into the top 10 anyway. And I got to tell you right now, I'm worried for him.
Nah, he's got the eyes. We believe.
Okay. Full belief. Full sense.
Full belief. A lot of people are still struggling with these early checkpoints. Oh, Efry, unfortunate landing there, got completely dislocated. He's trying to make up for it, but he has to find a miracle recovery because let's not forget, at the very top, Hazardou, 36 and 38 there, and checkpoints 4 and 5. So a strong start from Hazardou. He's going to have a very strong time for these players to just compete, and I believe, we could see again maybe 10 people or so just falling victim to that.
This middle checkpoint, the gap between checkpoint 3 and 4, catching a lot of people out this quarter pipe is tough, especially when you're under pressure. Just risking enough, still trying to go for low jumps on it. It's a tough one. We are now into the DQ timer, 30 seconds left. Our bottom 4 still struggling, and the places in front of them still bad as well. Still looking to get out of this middle section of the map. Honestly, I think just finishing at this point guarantees you a spot in the next round, Macht.
Yeah, if Neutral is here, he is 30th, or he was at checkpoint 5. Let's see how he can get that dirt looping. It's not enough time. It's not going to be enough. It's going to be so close. So no, Neutralis.
Not like this.
No.
Neutralis. 6 players eliminated, and the closest to the finish line will be Neutralis. He was maybe a second and a half away from the finish line there. That is the brutality of a disqualification timer.
Yeah, like half a minute is really, really dangerous. But for the first time here in the knockout stages, we don't have a failure at the very first Jan Lemon TV though. It's a bit hamstrung by those first transitions. Couldn't get it as clean as he would like to have. Now he's going to struggle really. Oh, the flip down. He's in big trouble now, Nua.
That's going to be so tough. That's a lot of ground to make up, but we definitely are still seeing enough mistakes in the middle of the track. That's where consistency is going to be key. Fry, there's the player we've had eyes on so far today, the Black Pulse admin for the Discord server, right alongside him, and they are fighting to get back into these top spots. I bet there's been at least one crash on this. Surely as you head into the next checkpoint, you're going to see these players jump up the rankings a little bit. The answer is yes. There are 4 players down the bottom, 2 from the Gravity Club. One of them, Tada, who is one of the better players in the server. He has just scraped his way back out. Black Pulse will just about make the last jump. Heading towards the line, Tada is just about in the safe zone. It would be a big upset to see him go out this early.
Yeah, Hazardou is actually quite far back as well. Where did he come from? All of a sudden, you're not telling me Hazardou's at risk here. No,
I think he might be.
surely not.
Jinx is going to just drag race to the line. I think he's beaten him. Let's see who's there. Branko TM is there. Darrigan is going to be the player in 24th, though. It turns out there are a few more crashes. E-Fry will not sneak in. Branko TM will just beat him to the line. Branko TM from all the way back in week 1, a player we're used to seeing doing things like that right on the elimination zone. And we will say goodbye to Lemon TV, E-Fry, Enna Betty, and Voleur de Park.
E-Fry, he saved himself every single round from that DQ timer. He saved himself. He's shown the ice that he can put it to the end, but now it was just a little bit too much to ask for. But we see what we talked about earlier. Like these great players like Hazard, Betatos, Novu, not even they are going to make mistakes, and that's going to open up the possibility for someone else to just go through. As Z-Cross here is a bit struggling, but gets good jumps here between checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2, trying to make something happen and trying to make up for the time he lost at the start.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, one of my favorite things about a competition like this is seeing the same names week on week. Yogg, Tada, Novu, these are all players we've come to know and love here on the stream, and all 3 of them are at risk right now, as Tada will be taking a nice low jump through that. You can see the time gain as we hit the middle checkpoint. Well, the people that fail that quarter pipe jump, they're the ones that are always going to be at risk. Yeah,
you could see as well on the timing tab to the left there. You could tell who's had a lot of issues, especially on the quarter pipe. Yeah. If the time is above 10 seconds, I think it's not just one respawn or one slow start. It must include like a failure on that quarter pipe jump. It's Branko, player on the cusp, slowly but surely saving himself. Yogg now driver at risk. He needs to go for the risky finish to just get a chance. He barely makes it. 20th position. He would not have made it if he got safe finish.
Oh, he absolutely wouldn't have. And I gotta tell you, there is definitely an element of these that I often forget, right? We watch the top players a lot during rounds or during the warm-up, and we get like, oh, that risky finish isn't that risky. That looks safe enough for them to go for. And then we get down here into the middle kind of rounds where we're getting into our top 20, and you're like, oh no, wait. Oh, that is risky. Oh, that guy does not have enough speed. That is going to be very close. And that was a squeaky one across the line.
That was just barely enough speed. What I don't know. Did you catch exactly how much speed he had when he jumped up? I think it was like 210, 220.
Around that, sure. We have the map in chat. Ars Velu, how much speed do you need to make the risky finish? Quick, quick! We need the info.
Give us all the information. But right now, Tada, he's failed the checkpoint. It's not going to be a very costly respawn if he can have a clean rest of the lap. Let's just see. It's a good transition here into the tarmac and now onto the platform blocks. A bit higher. It's a lot more speed though through that. His jump, very, very risky. He's going for it. You can see he's under a lot of pressure. He's still not safe completely. There's still a possibility for him to mess stuff up here and still fall in those bottom 4. So Lulu is having a bit of disconnection issues.
Just, you know, when your car hovers issue, it's a classic. Darrigan is not going to fall off the edge of the platform there and isn't 17th. Does he have enough speed to make this just about? Yeah. But will now have to push at the end. Novu is the car just in front, and they are on the edge of elimination, the pair of them here. Darrigan goes off the side, was full risking it, and is all the way back now. That's going to be tough. Novu is the player at risk right now. Is the player in the hot seat in 17th place as we go across the line. Is that still true? It is. Novu will drop in 17th place. Darrigan risking to try and get in front right at the end, won't do so, and Lulu will manage to just about reconnect, but it's an only just kind of thing, as it looks like they will be dropping out here as well.
Yeah, the A4 effort on the reconnection, but unfortunately in the end the timer runs out. 4 players eliminated, and I believe one upset in Novo. You can see it on the top right, the 6th fastest time on the server, 59.6. So definitely nothing to scoff at. Great potential, but you don't have that consistency down. You just are not going to make it through, especially on this map, as we already have a crash at the beginning.
There goes our New Zealander. Who's that? Who's dropped all the way back? I believe probably Exotics. It is, in fact, Exotics who is now fighting from the back. It's going to need a lot of consistency. It's already one overtaken. He will jump up as it is BMX22C. The man who was flexing on us all last week with his gym visit drops down into the elimination zone.
Drops down, but he's not out of it just yet. There's still a possibility for people in front of him to maybe take suboptimal lines. Maybe here this jump, NuaLaoch. Cutting it very, very close. He was so low, but then again, he got so much of horizontal momentum that he almost overshot it.
Yeah, and here's Zemius struggling with the jump. Yog as well has only just made it up to the platform. Will be in 15th place and we'll have to risk to try and get past some of these people. But at this point, it may not even be enough. We're getting to the point where a couple of big mistakes can really cost you, as your opponents will vanish off into the distance. One mistake, I think, is all you can afford now. We're down to 2 players eliminated around. Zemius will DNF. Yog will cross the finish line, but it looks like it's going to be too slow. It's going to be a 15th place finish for Yog.
Yeah, 1 minute 14 in those latter stages of the rounds is just not going to cut it. You could see the first place is just staying within that 1 minute range, about 59 seconds mostly. I think I've only seen 2 times that the first place was over a minute. So yeah, you can't really afford much mistakes here anymore as Beta-Toast. Let's see if he gets a clean start here. One of our better players as well. You can see 58.5 his PB. And you can see this approach here where especially Hazardou and all the players with the top times, they go quite far to the outside on the grass and then just cut in really aggressively on the plastic to get off of that surface as quickly as possible, just minimizing your time on that horrid plastic block.
Yeah, it's definitely going to send you sideways. I know a lot of, especially older players, not a big fan of newer surfaces like ice and plastic.
Oh yeah,
I
right
gotta
here.
tell you, I don't disagree with them. That's that jump though. There, I saw a couple of failures in there as we head through this checkpoint. Checkpoint 4, exactly where the players, it's Corzo and it's NuaLaoch who are sitting at the back at the moment. Those 2 players having a lot of trouble with the middle section of the map at the moment.
Yeah, Nazo and Corzo. Corzo, last round, he was the one in front, and now he is facing elimination.
That's NuaLaoch.
Yeah,
Go on, baby.
Go! Be faster! He's got 4 seconds to make up. No, it's not going to be enough. Like, he's got a brilliant plastic transition there, getting a lot of speed out of it. I think 250 or something, what I saw.
Yeah.
Great transition, yeah. But in the end, unfortunately, he goes for an ultra-risky style finish. Good to you.
I wonder, are we going to see any players go for that ultra-risky, low, high-speed finish? Because it would save you a couple of tenths. I mean, maybe that'll matter in later rounds. I appreciate NuaLaoch showing us that maybe that's possible, but it will be NuaLaoch dropping out. The player who had, well, it was 3rd place on the leaderboard before that round. Kyle has added insult to injury and snuck ahead of him on the local records as well. But it won't matter as NuaLaoch does drop out in 14th place. Corzo joins him in 13th as well. And it is going to be into our top 12 here. We're nearly to the top 10.
Top 12 time it is. Branko. Ooh, was it? That were two mistakes at the start there. Hazardou, one of them. Beta-Toast, the other one. There's going to be big upset round in here.
That's very, very exciting, as that's a lot of pressure on the players in front of them to try and get this one. And let's not forget, top 10, you get a top 10 finish, you get your name on the Liquipedia page for this week. There's a lot of pressure right now, Macht.
Oh, I totally forgot. Top 10 gets a Liquipedia entry because Trackmania has a Liquipedia page in the pre-alpha stage. New developments showing that Trackmania as an esport overall is going to grow and it's attracting a lot of players. Now, Hazardou is still in that 11th place. He still needs to find a bit of time. I think he's overtaken Black Pulse, our resident Kiwi. Will he be able to come back? He needs a good finish here. Let's see how the plastic bounce will treat him. Hazardou actually failing the dirt looping. And everyone going for that risky finish. Is it going to be Hazardou out?
Oh! Beta crashed! Or just was a little bit behind. I didn't see what happened to him, but he's gone, baby. He's gone. Branko alongside as well. That is one of our top 2, knocking the other of the top 2 out. Beta-Toast, unfortunately, the plastic treating him dirty. And that's it. We're into the top 10, Mac. No time to look back. We have to look forward to these 10 players remaining.
Hazardou must be sweating, majorly sweating. He just got by through the skin of his teeth, and there was a mistake there from Hazardou that we haven't really seen thus far. Where if you steer too much in the dirt looping, you're just gonna end up in a drift, and with red booster in the dirt looping and being in a drift, that's gonna cost you a lot of speed.
It definitely will. Black Pulse is the player in the danger zone, and he's been living in the danger zone for the last few rounds. And I have to say, this has definitely been his best showing so far. Nice to see him doing well here. But how much longer can it continue? This is always the question when you have a player who's riding the danger zone. Part of the reason they keep staying in Mocked is because they keep just being more consistent than everyone else in the middle parts where it counts. That's been the case again. Black Pulse well clear of danger. It's BMX, it's Tada, it's Dark who are fighting for it right now.
Yeah, Dark already DNFing. He's left the server actually. Didn't fancy his chances for anything more than the 10th place. Only one elimination, so this round BMX currently in that hot spot. He's got a lot of time to make up. Actually, he did make up a lot of time because Kazoro, I think, the looping. I think he might have felt the looping and just fell out of it.
He's just gone out of the looping. The round started poorly for Kazoro all the way back at the start. The plastic turn went a little awry. He lost some speed but managed to regain, only to lose it all right at the end. A little bit unfortunate, but them's the joys of mini RPG. It's not over till it's over. It is over for now for Dark and Kazoro. Hazard questioning how he stays alive. I'm sure a few others as well. Black Pulse, Tada, they've been risking it all. Here we go into another round.
Top 8, 2 eliminations here in top 8, and another failure at the very beginning of the round. Yano taking that first spot, and Kyle it was, with a beautiful Colombian car, I must add.
It's lovely.
That's a lovely car.
Very stylish.
Yeah. I count me a fan. Right now, Kyle has
Call me Colombian.
Call me Colombian. Let's go. Colombian fish. It's the new meta.
New meta. Change country. I believe this is our last round with 2 eliminations, so there will be kind of a little bit of a rest phase. Black Pulse fails the middle section. That has been his bread and butter as well, Mock. That has been where he has been gaining time in every round, staying safe. It couldn't last forever. It hasn't lasted forever. Black Pulse surely out on this round. Tada down in the elimination zone, also failing the middle of the map. Those two 12 seconds behind everyone else. It's gonna be goodbye to them for now. 2 big names on the server gone in this round. We're into our top 6.
We are indeed. Tada, I believe both of them will finish in time. Tada also, he was going for a lot of risky strats. He's been, consistently he's been fast, but he's been consistently, I think, too inconsistent at the end of the day, and that can't go on forever, and this will cost you. It did cost him very late in the competition, granted, but that's because the map is just really, really hard, so a lot of people make a mistake.
It definitely will. So we're into our top 6. Some names we'd expect to see there, some names who've definitely snuck their way up. I'm excited to see Mikmo back here. It's been a little while since he's made his way onto a top 3 podium finish all the way back in week 1, but definitely a player capable of doing it. Could be looking for another one here this week.
Yeah, could be definitely looking for another one. And Mikmo, the only player, I think, if I'm checking the top right as well, the only player without a top 8 local record. So, just showing, just consistency.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Did we just cast a curse this?
It wasn't what... Okay, we can't be blamed for this. Look, he'll regain in the quarter pipe, okay? Someone else surely going to crash out of this one. Let's watch. 6 players rising up to meet it. Will we see anyone falling away? It doesn't look like it. All 6 players have landed it here. That's one of the first rounds where everyone's making it through cleanly. Mikmo is gaining a little bit on the cars in front. Will it be enough? That was very, very high. He's running out of space on the track.
He's running out of space, but he's crucially got that water and the dirt looping in front of him where a lot of people have struggled. Got a good start, got a good pull from the magnet as well. He's got more speed than Jan. It's going to be a really, really close finish. Mikmo, who's going to get the best plastic bounce? He's got it. I think he's got it, Jan. Oh, he's got overtaken in the last looping. Absolutely terrible for him, but Mikmo, what an ending.
That's gotta hurt a little bit. That plastic bounce has carried a couple of players a little bit short, and it was just pure speed, managing to catch the wheels on the magnet in that dirt looping as well. Absolutely incredible stuff from Mikmo to make it into the top 5. Well fought as well, though. We'll head in.
Top 5 it is. That was a very high jump from Car then, his Colombian car. He's dropping quite far to the back. Still a lot of time to recuperate. That half-pipe jump and that dirt looping is still at the very end of the track, so nothing's decided until literally the last jump. And I like that for a track, to have the hardest obstacle in the end. It's just keeping everyone on their toes.
It really does, and I think, well, you say that, but I think once again a little bit of a caster curse here in the middle, as Kyle has dropped a very long way back. I think I struggle to see the recovery happening. He's DNF'd. Everyone just safe to the finish now. It's a victory lap. This is, you've reached a checkpoint. It's a very safe zone.
It is a safe zone. Hazardou respawning because he hit that dirt part.
Yeah,
and
why not?
we can see actually, I think Jan just showed us how to take that last looping, how to use the magnet to its fullest effect. It's just to go away from the throttle, hit the brake once, one little brake tap, go off the accelerator, and then just let the magnet pull you up out of the water and don't jump out of it. I think that's what's catching most people out in the early rounds especially. And now, Nua, we've got top 4 on our hands. We have to say goodbye to Kyle, and we're still left with somehow Hazardou, of course, and 3 others with him.
Yeah, fighting for those podium positions. Mikmo looking for a first one since week 1. Hazard looking to add to, I believe, a collection at this point. These 2 players have been consistent. Jan and BMX. And BMX also on a podium at some point. I can't remember. Jan definitely looking for a first time, though. And that's the story here that we're going to follow. It's going to come down, I feel like, at this point, probably to hopefully a race without mistakes.
I think all 4 players have shown great consistency. Hazardou, for me, the one player with, yes, possibly the best raw speed, but the one player that has been making the most mistakes. Jan overtaking into 3rd place, but got a bit of high jump here. Early landing, though, to make up for it. And still in that 3rd position. Mikmo, the player to chase down the top 3. It's a very high looping yet again, but that does mean he's got more speed. He can take a more direct line here in this jump. And now all 4 are close, very close together.
Oh, Mikmo jumps out of the water. The magnet not quite catching, but he's still got a better exit than Jan. And he is in front of Jan. Does Jan have the speed to overtake? It feels like surely not at this point. Mikmo to the line. Jan has DNF'd. And that is our top 3 locked in. It's BMX, it's Hazard, and it's Mikmo. Goodbye to Jan. An excellent 4th place finish nonetheless.
Excellent 4th place, but it could have been so much more for Jan. Really unfortunate there in the end, bouncing off the water and then just not getting the final dirt looping. So we're now in the top 3. Mikmo, Hazard, and BMX will be going full force at it. BMX with the slowest start, but possibly a good line here. No, he gets dragged out a little bit too high, and now he has to chase Mikmo and Hazard.